Hello and welcome to Some Dude Shed. Today we're going to be looking at cars. A few weeks ago we did modern art. Now we're going to do cars.
Not just any cars. Some of the strangest cars that ever made it to production.
Yes. Some of the strangest, some of the worst as well. But I think we'll end up with something quite nice at the end. Let's see. What's the first car that we're going to take a look at today? Jeez, what the hell is that?
At least this isn't like the best car list, is it? It's like just cars that are weird.
Yeah.
Do you think that car would make the best cars list?
Well, maybe it's really good. I don't know.
Oh dear. Well, it's called the Sebring Vanguard. It's an electric car from the 70s.
You lost me at electric.
It's got 35 volt batteries with a 2 horsepower motor. So it could reach 30 miles an hour at top speed and it has a 40-mile range. Now, apart from the styling of this car, the worst thing about it is the safety. Because it's made of pretty thin metal and it's tiny. And on American roads, it's very, very dangerous. When the crash tests were improved, so they had to make it safer in the second half of its production in the late 70s, they included longer bumpers, which is in the smaller picture at the top there.
The thing looks tacked on there.
Yeah.
I mean, is that road legal? You could go take it on the motorway?
I wouldn't take it on the motorway. It only goes 30 miles an hour. Slower than a tractor. I would say if this car was a kid in school, he'd get badly bullied. And that's before they put the extra bumper on. So when they put the bumper on, it just looks like the ugly bullied kid in school just got massive braces. I don't know what they were thinking.
It does look like something from Robot Wars, doesn't it?
Go out in the first round.
Like the contestant wanted to ride on his own robot, so...
There's a docking tug in Star Trek. That's basically what it looks like, but only more like a spaceship.
Maybe they use those. It was about the right time, right? There's a Star Trek films made in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
It just baffles me that they came up with a car that looks that horrible. At some point in the design process, somebody approved that. Anyway.
But it's electric.
It is electric.
It's green. It's good for the environment.
And what's kind of depressing about it being electric is it's quite reliable, and there's quite a few of them are still around today.
Wait, these still exist?
Well, they don't still make them. They're just old.
Yeah, but...
Haven't scrapped them.
It's collectors.
Yeah.
Who would collect this?
I don't know. Crazy people.
Surely, if you've seen this, you would do your duty and do bad things.
I think if you modernize it with like upgraded motors and a bigger battery, you get some real horsepower out of it.
Well, funny you mentioned modernizing it. If we go to the next slide.
Oh, fuck.
This is the Whiz.
Electric as well, is it?
Yeah, that's the next electric car. This is from the early 2000s.
Wait a minute. You know the space shoes from Nike? If there was a car version of it, this is what they'd look like.
Yeah. This car is pretty... I'm not going to bother telling you about the stats. It's pretty much the same as the Sebring Vanguard.
That's a flat-ass windscreen.
Apparently it can reach 50 miles an hour if you're feeling really brave. It was so light and flimsily built that it didn't actually sell as a car in Europe. They sold it as a quadricycle, so they can get around all the crash tests and stuff. I think this car made an appearance in... we might as well talk about if they've had a famous appearance. You mentioned Star Trek. I think this one appeared in the Pikachu detective movie.
I think you're right. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It's
Was it
the
Pikachu's
reporters.
car, is it?
No, it wasn't Pikachu. Pikachu couldn't drive. He's a Pokemon.
The reporter's car.
If you could talk.
Yeah. Pretty sure they had a ride in one of those. It had back seats in the movie, which I don't know how they managed to get those in, but there we go. So if we stick with, I guess we're sticking with electric cars for a moment then.
Ah, yes, the Twizy.
Yes.
An icon of the streets.
Is this current?
They ended production of this only a few years ago, so it's quite modern.
I didn't even know they ended it.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think they make them at the moment. I don't think Renault has a silly car at the moment. They will have another silly car. They normally have something stupid.
End of an era. I just love the way it doesn't even have side windows. That's actually just a plastic wrap.
Yeah, they're an optional extra.
Just put cling film on it.
The thing is, this car has actually proved to be more popular than other of those electric microcars.
Paris, Rome.
Yeah,
I imagine these.
Those big old cities like that. I had the pleasure of going to Rome once, and there was quite a few of those.
It's like cobble street kind of places.
Yeah, places where you're not expected to go fast, and you need to squeeze into tiny parking spaces.
It's like a Deliveroo car if they had a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the point of Rome, if you can think of any car you've ever wanted to see with a dent on it, go to Rome, because every car there has a dent.
Every car's been smashed at some point.
I thought Rome was full of like Lamborghinis and supercars. And
Goodness, you'd be crazy to drive a Lamborghini there.
really,
Oh yeah,
well,
everything.
Top Gear did it
just-
once.
It's all it's all crashes.
Oh shit.
But it moves quickly. You know, I mean, if there's one thing I can say about Rome is it's a major city with quite a fast interior road system. They just happen to hit each other a lot.
Hmm.
And then they don't seem to really care after they do.
Yeah, because they're expecting to.
Whoa.
Thank goodness. Well, that's the sport version, I guess.
That's the most desperate attempt at a spoiler I've ever seen.
Would that not, like, I imagine this car isn't very fast in the first place, would that not slow it down a hell of a lot more?
Maybe they put more batteries in it, make it faster.
Is this something they actually made? Like, or is
Oh, yeah,
this
this
just
is-
something that somebody put together?
From my understanding, this isn't a custom job. I think this is something Renault actually made. And it's not the first time they put something made a weird sports model of a car. They made a Renault Espace.
Was this a
into
one-off?
An F1 car. What's that?
Was this a one-off?
Maybe. I don't know. I'll need to have a little Google on that one.
Wonder how much that carbon fiber kit costs.
Probably quite a lot for what is basically a novelty car.
Because it says F1 on it.
Yeah. So moving on, I think we've got one more electric car.
Oh, yes. This isn't a production car yet.
It's actually been delayed to 2023 because of the chip shortage at the minute.
Damn.
Oh, that's a big shame.
But this is the vehicle of Mars. I mean, you can just see these going about Mars. Obviously more airtight.
Wasn't there the unveil for this? Elon Musk said you couldn't break the glass on it or something. And then
Yeah.
he went and hit it with a hammer and it smashed.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
very brave.
Did he do that intentionally to get the publicity for it?
No, I don't know. Because it was a pretty embarrassing blunder. I think what he should have done is just showed a video, and I think he did show a video, and he should have just left it at that. But he's like, "We're going to smash it on stage," and then smash.
I'm pretty sure the stocks actually still went up even after that.
Yeah,
Probably.
because I think there was amazed by the look of it. When looking at it now, it does look kind of cool. It looks cool in the dark with the lights on, but during the day it looks stupid.
I like it. I like the way it looks. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Quite like the low poly look.
I'm kind of amazed at how like even the performance of it, not the 60 in 2.9 seconds, and the fact that it has like a like a boot.
Yeah, it's like a pickup truck at the back, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not the 60, that's GTR levels right there.
Yeah, that's electric power for you. When you do electric power right,
Instant torque.
it's really quick.
Yeah.
1,400 pounds of towing power. Is that good?
5 metric tons. That's just quite good.
5 tons. Yeah, I mean you could see that in being used as the Mars car, couldn't you?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I suppose you would need to airtight it. You'd just be wearing your little spacesuit and you get into it.
Is there an oxygen supply in the boat or something?
If you put one in there, there'd be room for it.
Now I imagine you probably have to like just disconnect the tank and then say we'd probably just connect it in your car. I don't know, pretty cool.
Well, I think we'll move into our next section now, which I've called old stuff.
Ooh.
So basically, some classic cars from the past. This is the Saab 9-2. This is the first production car that Saab made.
You could tell.
Yeah, which looks lovely,
Hold on, what year was this?
50 something.
Oh,
I think.
okay, more acceptable. I just assumed it was like year 1992. It's like, whoa, what were they
Oh,
thinking?
no, that's a weird thing about Saabs. All their model numbers start with a 9.
Right.
Why?
I don't know, but you got like the Saab 9-2, this Saab 9-3, Saab 9000. It just goes on like that. I don't know why. Very strange. But anyway, the main feature of this car, or why we have it up here, is because of its engine. It's got a tiny little 2-stroke engine, which produces about 40 horsepower, I think. And it's apparently very difficult to drive because you always have to have the throttle on.
You always have to have what?
Yeah, because some reason, like the way the 2-stroke engine works, you always need to have the throttle on. You always need something going through the engine, which means going downhill is very dangerous
Yeah.
because you got to use the brakes and the throttle at the same time.
So does this just mean you're sitting at a set of lights and you have your foot on the pedal, but you're not in gear?
Yeah, basically.
That sounds like an awful waste of petrol.
Yeah, it's 2-stroke, and I guess there was an awful lot of it around at the time.
Make more sense just to cut the engine off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, make a proper car, like a petrol car.
This would be the 50s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50s.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be doing it with today's prices.
Absolutely not. But Saab made like a few hundred of these, and then that was that, and then they moved on to making more sensible cars.
Oh, did they?
Well, mostly slightly more sensible. Saab did their own thing.
Moving on. Ah, yes, the good old Reliant Robin, the three-wheeler beast.
That's the villain from Mr. Bean, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, was he a villain, or did Mr. Bean just kind of bully him without even realizing it?
He was the anti-Bean.
He liked to tip the car quite a bit.
Well, it was easy to tip.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just don't take a corner too hard.
If there's one car that can't live up to its name, it's a Reliant Robin. Can't even rely on it to not
Stay
tip
upright.
over.
So yeah, it was first produced in 1973 by the Reliant Motor Company in Tamsworth. There was 3 different variations over a 30-year period before it was discontinued. As you can imagine, the front wasn't very stable.
No, I can't imagine it was. It kind of looks like it's leaning a bit on that picture.
I believe, wasn't it Del Boy's car out of Only Fools and Horses had like a van version of it?
Yeah, that's right. And if there's anything you want to turn into a van, it's a tiny 3-wheeler.
Yes. For comedy effect, yes.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, yes.
Was it rear wheel drive or front wheel drive?
That's a good question.
I don't know. You would have thought you'd put the power at the back, right? But where does the engine go? Surely if the engine's at the front, because the wheel's at the front, it's in the way.
I think if you put the power at the front, though, it would be less likely to tip over.
It was a front mid-engine
No.
with rear-wheel drive.
A front mid-engine. Okay, so the engine's behind the front wheel. That's what that means.
Yes.
A rear-wheel drive.
But look how far back the front wheel actually is. And think about where the engine is compared to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just stuck the engine in the back.
I can't imagine these were very safe. They're quite light, weren't they?
Yes. Again, don't take any hard turns. I could actually imagine if you were coming down a hill.
If you turn
And
down
did-
a hill and there's a sharp turn coming up,
Yeah.
for goodness sake, slow down to a crawl before you take it. Or you're going to just roll.
Surely it would have been a good idea to put rally bars inside this one.
Yeah.
I don't believe they did, but
But that would have been the sensible thing to put a little roll cage in there.
yeah.
Well, I guess sticking with the 3-wheel theme.
Oh, it's
B-
even worse.
BMW took their very own try at the 3-wheeler.
Now, my question is, why doesn't BMW make stuff like this anymore? Because
Because ugly as fuck.
Well-
do you get it? Do you get in from the front?
Shh. Not yet, Mr. Black, not yet.
But
Not yet, Mr. Black. Yeah, so this was first produced in 1953 and made it changed name, variation slightly, the whole way up to 1961.
yeah,
As you can imagine, 1953, just after a certain event,
I slipped my mind.
Bavarian Motor Company, I'm sure, was trying to get back up on its feet. Needed to produce a small town car to try and drive sales.
so they thought, let's build the ugliest thing
Well-
ever that nobody want to buy.
In Britain, they got the Mini, so let's make something smaller than that, I guess.
This did become known as the because of its egg shape and bubble-like windows, it did become known as the bubble car. So as you can tell, it's got 3 wheels. But yeah, this is this 2-stroke internal engine again.
Oh, right. Well, this is a tiny car, I guess. So it makes more sense than the Saab.
Yes.
It looks like it's got the one wheel at the back.
It's got the one wheel at the back, yes.
Okay, I think that's a bit more stable than the Reliant.
It's 9.5 horsepower
Wow, that'll get you going.
with a really good fuel economy of 94 mpg.
Oh, there you go.
Like 94 miles per gallon.
Yeah, but it's BMW we're talking about.
Are you suggesting the German car companies lie about that sort of thing?
That's not Volkswagen.
I actually saw one of these, not on the road, but actually on kind of in the waiting area for a ship, for a ferry to sail somewhere. And I had 3 people in it. There were 3 people sitting across the front, and they looked, for starters, they looked really cramped. You know, poor girl in the middle was like really crushed. But they had the back of it filled up with their luggage, so they were going on holiday. 3 people going on holiday with what they could fit inside one of these.
Right.
That's just like, surely they're only doing it to prove a point. They're not making life easy for themselves.
Now, this isn't actually designed by the Germans, by the way.
Oh, it's not?
Well, look at it. Does that look practical to you? That is not German design. Guess what country you think designed it?
Called Isetta, so Italy?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was licensed in a number of countries from the design manufacturer, Microcar, to Argentina, Spain, Belgium, France, Brazil, and Germany and the UK.
You say it was designed by Microcar.
Yes. I
I happen to know that company's still going. And they're still making really small, crappy cars.
Hi.
We don't have them in this slideshow, I'm afraid, but they are there. I remember seeing them, a few of them in Europe. And because they don't sell them over here because they don't make the crash tests. We've got more stringent crash tests than they allow because they have little microcars in Paris and Rome and stuff.
So what you're saying is, if you crash this in Europe, you're fine. But if you were to crash this in the UK, you'd die.
I suppose, yeah. That's maybe because they let people drive them who don't have a full driving license as well. So maybe they're thinking because they're so light, they're not going to cause any damage to what they hit. So the only person at risk is the one in the car.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure the BMW version of it is the most prominent example. I think it was also the most sold.
Yeah, anticipation's killing me. What the fuck's going on with the...
Shortly after the second one. Yes. So as you can see, there's no doors at the side there. How do you think you get in?
The roof. The window.
Whole front open up?
Yes.
That's amazing. It's the perfect solution to a problem which doesn't need to exist. That's amazing. That's actually quite clever. I like the way the steering wheel comes up with it as well. Kind of got like a little universal joint there.
I do like the way you kind of like just step into the car.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest car to get into in the world. It's like one of those things. It looks silly, but I kind of like it.
Oh, it's ugly as hell, isn't it?
So, moving on, I guess.
What the fuck's this thing?
If we stick to the theme of tiny little German cars, this is the Messerschmitt KR200.
I'd love to give the wee German helmet as well.
Oh, right. It's that company, is it?
Yeah. You talk about BMW and segueing from the war. Messerschmitt, probably better known for their fighter planes in the 30s and 40s during the Great European Political Disagreement. They had a lot of airplane bits left over, and they weren't making warplanes anymore, so they made some cars.
This just looks like inspiration for one of the ships out of the Jetsons here.
I can see that. It kind of looks like the Beetle's deformed cousin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't have time to find any vital statistics about this, so I don't know how fast it is, but I can probably guess it's quite slow. Like the bubble car, it's got 3 wheels, one at the back. Yeah, it's got a fun door as well.
I'm gonna guess it's front wheel drive.
Probably. But you see that kind of black line going up diagonally from the front wheels?
Yes.
That's the edge of the door. It kind of opens up like a coffin. So you pull the handle, then the whole top of the car comes up.
It's fitting for a death trap, isn't it?
It's got 2 seats, one at the front and one at the back.
I think this is living proof that even the worst cars look a wee bit better in red. I think if it was any other color, it would actually look worse.
It would look worse if it was green or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Since it's in red, it goes faster too.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, it's got a luggage rack on the back, so there you go. There's the problem.
Oh,
with
it's
the
more
boot
practical.
sorted.
More practical. Yeah. The Zeta didn't have that, but then that was Italian designed.
Well, if we're sticking with old cars, they're not all small, as we will see by the next slide.
Ooh, big boy.
It is completely the other end of the market. And this is from before the Great European Political Disagreement. This is the Bugatti Royale. As you can see, the top of the bonnet comes up to this man's shoulders. It's absolutely massive.
So do his trousers, apparently.
Hold on a minute.
Is the
car really big, or is he really short?
I don't know, the car's gigantic. It's got a 12.7 litre engine, which gets it along quite nicely. The whole thing is about 6 meters long.
What year was this?
This was made actually just before the war, so like 35 or something.
And it's got a 12.7.
12.7 litre engine.
So it's about as efficient as...
Nothing. It's not efficient.
And it produces as much power as probably today a 2 litre engine.
Well, I don't know about that. It probably had a few hundred horsepower underneath it. I mean, you look at racing cars at the time, they had plenty of power.
Is that thing armoured?
No, it's not. What's the point in making an armoured car when it hasn't got a roof?
I don't know. There was plenty of Mercedes around that period were armoured for particular reasons. I'm not gonna lie. I really like this car. I think it's awesome. I've always wanted to see one in real life, but they're very rare. They only made 5 of them. But recently, about 10 years ago, one of them sold in auction for 4 million quid. So they're quite pricey. Damn.
Yeah.
Did he get those socks with it?
Oh, those socks. They're incredible. They're like golf socks, aren't they?
Just to think those socks are probably handmade as well.
I just imagine cruising down like that. Oh, my goodness.
Sorry, we'll go back.
I'm just fantasizing. Just imagine cruising down the motorway in one of those. It'd just be so awesome.
You're not compensating for anything.
Exactly.
It does. It definitely, is sort of, I wouldn't say it's a really good looking car, but it's definitely a lot better looking than all the mini ones. I would take an oversized car over like a mini car any day.
Anyway, going on. The Volkswagen Beetle.
Ugh.
The people's car.
Yes.
Some fun history with it.
I'll go on.
It was commissioned by the Mustache Man.
Schittler?
Yes, the Austrian fella from Germany.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Famous for his work on motorways.
yes. He, going along with the theme, it was commissioned by the Mustache Man. And it was also driven by the likes of Ted Bundy.
That's a black one as well. Weren't the first ones black? Like
Yes, this is meant to be one of the originals.
one of the originals. So this is before the great political disagreement.
It does look
Yes.
quite good in black. I will say it looks quite.
And yes, it was the people's car.
You say it looks good. It doesn't look badass, does it?
No, it doesn't look comfy inside either. It looks very.
It does look a bit Spartan from what we can see in the inside.
I'm sure it's a very comfortable ride though in terms of suspension.
See, the Beetle is the way it looks. You never think, that's a cool guy driving that Beetle.
Yeah,
You know,
I've never liked them at all.
what sort of engine do these things have anyway? A tiny little thing in the back, right?
Yes, so it was first produced in 1938. During the time period, there was a scheme going on in Germany that would allow the average working class family to save up and effectively buy one of these through a government scheme. But
What a lovely idea.
but I seem to remember a lot of those funds got misdirected into something else. I just can't remember what it was for.
Oh no!
But yeah, the idea was to have
I'm
a
sure
nice,
nothing that bad came out of it.
practical family car to go to the newly established beach resorts.
No, to be fair, if it came out in the 30s,
You know,
considering what came before it, it's actually not quite a sensible car.
Yes, so, yeah. So basically, the idea was practical family car that they would use a new road system called the Autobahn to go on vacation to the newly built hotel resorts on beachfronts.
Sounds lovely. Hold on a minute. The beachfronts in Germany.
Yeah, well, round lakes.
Oh, around lakes. Okay, that makes sense. Because the only beach they have is in the North Sea, right?
Yes, and that would make it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very holiday-ish.
Unless you're a masochistic maniac.
Yeah. Oh, I just love the cold, salty water.
Let's get some frostbite.
7 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres.
Yeah, sure.
32 miles per gallon US, 39 miles per gallon UK
Sounds sensible, I suppose.
on the Wikipedia.
Oh, it was small. I know that much. It was a small engine in the back.
It was a 1.1 cc H4 petrol manual transmission. It was rear engined and rear wheel drive layout.
Easiest way to make a car. Stick the engine, put the drive wheels right next to it.
So it might have been a prototype for the Porsche.
So is the front a boot then? Like a
Yeah, I believe the front is a boot.
nice.
Yeah, it is. If you trace the lineage of the Porsche 911, you end up
At the
here
Beetle.
at the Beetle. Yeah.
So your midlife crisis car is really the bastard child of a Beetle,
Oh, yeah.
who was commissioned by the Mustache Man. Congratulations.
Next.
On the subject of German treats, I suppose. What the hell is this?
It's the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
The Wienermobile.
Yeah.
It looks like a big sausage.
Yep.
So
I don't really know what else to say about it other than, a Chevrolet L96 6-litre V8 engine.
what it says on the screen there.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was actually produced by a number of different companies.
Did it not start off as like a big, like a truck, like a Isuzu medium-sized truck, and then they just converted it?
It's developed from a few different chassis, I believe. The only thing I would kind of say this is a production car is because it was produced so many times as I'm going to guess a promotional vehicle.
Well, I think as of, what was it, Red 2020, there's about 6 of them on the road. So I think it holds about 6 people on top. At least 6 people.
Well, it looks big enough. It's
Mhm.
kind of weird because it does look like the bottom half is quite a normal-ish car, and then the top half is a big sausage.
Here's a question: is Oscar Mayer Wiener still about?
What, the cars?
No, the hot dogs.
I think the name Oscar Mayer is about, yeah. I don't know what they're involved in. Probably wieners again.
Don't keep up with American food, to be
I
honest.
think if you took that like hot dog or the sausage off the top and you just had the yellow bit at the bottom and you just sort of like did stuff to it, I think it would be kind of
Yeah, but
cool as well.
The yellow bit's supposed to be the bun.
Yeah, so you just kept the bun and just put like a windscreen in it. Lose the sausage, put the windscreen in it.
I would say,
Maybe modify the headlights. It'd probably look kind of cool.
I'd say something about the bit at the bottom. It looks really happy.
I
It
think
does.
it's like
Big smile.
fucking hot dogs, man. Yes, Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, I think the reason we put this in is because more than one of these has actually been produced. So that's
It is
Technically
pretty extraordinary.
production.
It is technically a production car. Wow, I love the idea that one day there'll be like a meetup of all the Wienermobiles, and they're just big massive
compare-
line of automotive sausages.
Do you think they'll compare their lengths?
Probably. And that's the first thing you do, isn't it? I mean, it's the easiest thing you do when you're all parked up like a car park. And it's like, oh, mine's longer than yours. And then the guy with the cocktail mobile, he just says, "Oh, length doesn't matter," you know.
Cocktail sausage mobile.
He
It's like a
would.
little mini.
He would say that, wouldn't he?
Oh my goodness, what is this?
Really slow.
Toyota Cera, yeah. So let's just get like a normal civilian everyday car, but let's put some fucking Lamborghini doors on it. I don't know. I just came across it and thought that's actually kind of cool.
I mean, it's styling wise, it's kind of.
It's like something you'd see from like a 90s futuristic film or something.
Oh, it definitely looks 90s.
Like, Demolition Man or something. Like a car from Demolition Man film.
Yeah.
The thing about the doors that open this way is like they're not practical in a car park. You better not be parking too close to somebody there.
No, if you can't open it all the way, then you're not really getting out.
No, it does seem like if you had people parked either side of you, it doesn't seem to open out widthways too much. And even at that, you probably still clear the height of the car beside you, assuming it's the same height as yours. I don't know, I think it's cool. I think I like Toyotas. I just do. Call me an old man if you want, but
Well, there's nothing wrong with Toyotas. They're all right. It kind of looks like the predecessor to a Celica. Would I be right in that?
yeah.
The styling isn't as exciting as a Celica, though.
You ever seen the 90s Celica?
No,
Pretty cool looking.
not that I remember it. Or do I? I think I might be thinking of the MR2.
No, MR2. Quite similar to MR2, actually.
Well, anyway. That's quite nice. That's quite a. I don't know. It looks kind of half practical. It's an awful lot more practical than most of the other stuff we've been looking at, especially all the microcars.
The doors just don't match the car at all.
No, not really. The car looks quite plain, but the doors are just a bit nuts.
Like, you wouldn't even expect it. Just you pull up to your mate's house, you go to get into your car. Last thing you'd expect is the doors to go up. It's cool.
Anyway, on the point of silly doors, here's Doc Brown's car.
I'd never heard of Doc Brown, but this
Well,
car, though,
One of our greatest exports.
Made here in Northern Ireland.
made here in Northern Ireland, one of the greatest cars ever, with a mighty 130 horsepower from a Peugeot engine.
It's arguably one of the most famous cars ever as well, isn't it? Like,
I think that's probably because of Back to the Future and its doors.
It's all because of Back to the Future.
I think of any car in a film, it is probably the most. I mean, other than maybe Knight Rider, it's probably is the most famous.
The only thing Knight Rider has over this is Knight Rider can talk to you.
Yes.
This can go back to the future.
The production of this car is a whole big, complicated, famous story of an American designer who came over and wanted to start a company, and he got a government grant to do it in Belfast and all that. But the car itself is a bit of a weird thing because it's covered in stainless steel, which looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a pretty nice looking car, but it's really heavy.
Yes.
And it's not structural as well. The stainless steel panels aren't part of the chassis; they're just literally glued on. So it's just heavy for the sake of looking good. It's got 130 horsepower, so it's slow as well. It's not a quick car.
I can't say things that are usually heavy look good.
It's Jeremy Clarkson drove one and famously said it drives like a double-decker bus with marmalade wheels. And it had some technical problems as well. At least the earliest models did anyway. The alternator, it had an awful lot of weird technology and stuff on the inside, an awful lot of digital stuff.
Flux
Yeah.
capacity.
The alternator wasn't strong enough on the engine to actually power it all. So if you had everything powered on the car and you ran it, you'd eventually just run out of electricity and just conk out.
So when Doc Brown needed to get the car up to 88 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
He never thought this to take the metal body off it, the stainless steel body off it, and then make it a hell of a lot easier to get it up to that 88 miles an hour.
Well, he
It
certainly
wasn't so much
couldn't-
that, it was the fact he needed the gigawatts because the alternator was shit. So we did a better alternator, he could go back in time, no problem.
Well, to be fair, Doc Brown did make a time machine. If you can make a time machine out of a car, you can make a DeLorean go a little bit faster. So
Yeah, but he didn't do the obvious thing. Take the stainless steel plates off.
yeah. Well, you can't do that, and it won't look as cool.
True.
I mean, all things you say, everything you want about the DeLorean, I think it looks awesome. Also, it was actually built quite well. The people in Northern Ireland did a good job because most of them are still around.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it is a full-fledged collector's item now, look.
Yeah, and it's rust proof because it's stainless steel.
That's why they all look pretty good, the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
They were all built by hand as well, weren't they? Like, they didn't really come off like a production line or nothing.
Well, production line is still built by hand. But
Like,
yeah,
I mean, like they weren't really put together with machines or nothing.
I don't know. I think there was an awful lot of. I think it was mostly hand built. Yeah, because the production wasn't that big. They weren't making that many, so they couldn't have like a big automated robots and things like they do at Honda and Ford and stuff.
Was only something like 5,000 of them were made as well, or
I don't know that stat.
it is quite a small number. I don't think.
There were only 9,000 DeLoreans made,
Hmm.
so they're quite rare. And personally, I think they're really cool. I think they're awesome. They look terrific. And the doors opened up.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I actually get Cybertruck vibes from it almost. It's probably just from the stainless
stainless
steel on
steel.
it. Yeah.
but it is one of those cars that you need to, if you're parking it up, you need to bay to your left and your right to be empty.
Yeah, because the doors do open
Straight up.
straight up, so it's.
And they're quite long.
But that's our car. That's the Northern Ireland car.
Take pride in.
We can be proud of.
Did something right.
Well, right.
Well, it looks good. It looks good, and it's lasted a long time. So there you go. There's two things it's got. And I guess on that note,
Till next time.
till next time.
Bye.